And I still believe that these problems can be solved.
I know not what course others may take, but as for me, give me liberty or give me death. And so, my fellow Americans, ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country.
This is the Political Show.
Hey, and welcome to the Political Show right here on Active FM, where radio has never been better. I'm your girl Cynthia, but you know you can call me Gix, and with me in studio we've got
Anti-vaxxer Gavin Ensslin.
Anti-vaxxer Gavin Ensslin, and we have the one and only
The Black Knight.
The Black Knight. And like I said,
Sorry, he's the wimp knight.
The Wimp Knight.
No, he's the wimp at night today.
Wimp at night.
Because he didn't want to come on the show.
Cool.
I think the subject matter is too hot for him. So he got scared. Next thing the police are going to come, you know.
Yeah, no, you have to be,
And I think he's got people from the government in his house.
Yep, you have to be, to be part of the political show, you must be ready to get arrested,
You must be strong.
Yeah, you need to be strong at any time.
So we keep the Black Knight and put the wimp at night to pasture.
Wimp at night.
I got my armor.
You got your armor. Okay, maybe. I think at the end of the show, he's going to change from the Wimp at night back to the Black Knight. Hopefully.
Yeah, only because he's in the show. If he never arrived, he was gonna forever be the wimp at night.
That's true. So like I said, you are listening, not we. We are speaking. You are listening to the Political Show on Active FM, and we're here to give you the truth behind the headlines. And we usually speak about stuff that are in the headlines, but if you don't read between the lines and stuff, you will not know what they're talking about, because that's what news is meant to do. It's meant to confuse you and put in propaganda and stuff. And in the Political Show, we are here to give you the truth behind the headlines, because Christ politics is
Hot politics.
hot politics.
Yeah, and just when you thought we'd be talking about the Trump-Biden debate, bam, we're talking about second waves.
Yeah. Yep, we're talking about the second wave. So do you want to give an explanation on what today's topic is going to be about, since you already said second waves?
Yes, well, obviously, they didn't show us second waves in the beginning.
No.
They showed us these graphs which showed 12 to 14 million positive or active cases in September, October.
Yeah.
So the country's doing quite well for having 12 to 14 million active cases out of a population of 60 million. Now, if 12 to 14 million got sick, you know, you wouldn't have a second wave.
Yeah.
So the first wave ends up being a wimp,
Yeah.
like the wimp at night. All right? So now they have to scare us with the second wave.
Yeah.
So I think the words you're hearing most now in the news are second wave,
Yes. Yes.
more than social distancing.
Yep.
Be careful, guys, second wave, and then they're going to have a second wave. They're going to say, yeah, we need to lock down. It's your fault, you naughty South Africans.
Yeah. And I mean, we just went into level 1 lockdown like last week.
What has changed?
Nothing.
Nothing's changed.
Yeah,
I mean, the laws have changed.
Yes. Just a few, not even a lot. Just
Yeah,
a
but
few.
There's a
We
few
still
less
have
things
a-
you can be arrested for now.
We still have a curfew, just been moved.
No, but
an hour later.
But you can't be arrested at 11 p.m. now.
Yeah. But it's an
Only
hour
at
later.
midnight.
Yeah. But no one is around.
So when Cinderella has to get back,
No wonder she's running.
no
I
wonder
think-
she's running. She's running from the curfew.
She's running.
She's running from the SAP, South African Police Services.
Yes, that is the story. That's the true story of Cinderella. They could tell the future.
Yeah, I mean, Disney should be sued that they didn't tell the truth.
Yeah, no. So that's what we're going to be speaking about. And we're also going to be speaking about what comes with the second wave. You know, we are in level 1 lockdown. People are enjoying the fact they're in level 1 lockdown. We would rather have that we have no lockdown. But with the second wave comes a second period of lockdown. And a lot of countries are actually looking into going into...
No, what do you mean looking into?
Going
Australia had like 4 cases.
Yeah.
Then they went down to 0. Then they had a second wave of 6 cases.
And then
And then Melbourne was arresting people,
Yeah.
taking pregnant women and arresting them and all sorts of stuff like that.
Yeah.
Okay, it's a bit more than 4 and 6, but really.
Yeah. But so going into another period of lockdown, we are not ready for. As an economy, as the world, anything, we're just not ready for another period of lockdown. But that's what we're going to be discussing today. And we had a poll out for people to basically respond and answer the question, what would you do if we were in a second period of lockdown here in South Africa? How would you respond? And then we also asked, would you take the vaccine or wouldn't you take the vaccine? And people answered that poll. So later on in the show, we're going to be discussing some of your answers and basically discussing it for ourselves. Yeah. What your thoughts are and stuff. So
we have
keep
thoughts
listening.
too.
Yes, we also have our personal thoughts. So keep listening. It's going to be really, really awesome. This is the Political Show on Active FM. Radio has never been better.
The wait is over.
Hold on tight. We are in the overdrive.
Welcome. This is your favorite station. Stay tuned. Turn up the volume.
Three, two, one. Just wanna see the light.
Let's go.
Active FM.
On the 24th of September, the South African government put out an article on the South African coronavirus website. And this website, this is the 24th of September, which was how many days
Last week,
into
Thursday.
lockdown? It
I
was
don't know, 100 and...
3 days into lockdown, not lockdown, level 1.
Yeah.
4 days or 3 days into level 1.
Yeah,
This
it
is
was
where...
Sunday, it was Sunday night, midnight.
So on the 20th, we went into level 1.
Yeah.
We started level 1. So 4 days.
And then that was the Thursday.
Yes. So 4 days after we started level 1, this is when we were celebrating Heritage Day and looking into a future where, I'm saying this in inverted commas. Think about this while I'm using inverted commas. Looking into a future where we might not have a lockdown, basically. Going from level 1 to having no levels at all. And stuff, the government put out an article saying, and the article is entitled, "The Second Wave, A Global Perspective." So they started speaking about the second wave already, and they started preparing us basically with the second wave and things like that. And they basically say in the article that this article will critically examine the resurgence of COVID-19 within other countries, the impact from the first wave of the pandemic within these countries, as well as possible underlying factors before examining the possibility of a second wave within South Africa. It will also explore the progress being made with vaccine trials across the world and the likelihood of the distribution of a successful vaccine. And that's what the purpose of this article is. And in this article, they go through 3 countries. They go through South Korea, through Spain, and through the United States. So they basically speak about these countries. Now, before I go into these specific countries, is there any thoughts about this article that you would like to share?
Obviously, Spain had a very harsh lockdown.
Yeah.
Nowhere near as long as us, but they had this very harsh lockdown. And I think in Spain, the lockdown was a lockdown.
Yeah.
You see, in South Africa, there's a lockdown, especially maybe the first week.
Yeah.
By the second week, there were a few more people on the street. By the third week, there were really more people on the street. And then they extended it for 2 weeks. And then all of a sudden, there was a lot of people on the street. And then they went down to level 4 on the 1st of May. And all of a sudden, there was a bit of traffic and things like that.
Yeah.
So our figures got slowed in the beginning because of the lockdown. And the lockdown was just supposed to be there to get the health services ready. And that's how they sell it at first. Then they get people into a mode. And now they say, right, the moment there's an uptake in cases, you've got a lockdown. That's happening in the UK right now. It's happened in Spain right now. And there's a problem with the lockdown, though. The death toll is nowhere near as high as it was with the first lockdown. Now, what I think happened, it happened in Italy. It happened in many of these socialist countries, whereby the virus gets into old age homes. Now, they gave a lot of explanations for why that happened naturally. I think it happened on purpose. I think they purposely seeded the virus into those homes to up the death toll to get people scared. If you look in Italy, they were those very high numbers, people getting scared. I don't know if you remember, there were videos of army trucks with bodies.
Yeah.
Okay? And everyone was like very scared. Then they had these doctors talking about how terrible it was, and you had all of these stories. And then you started finding out already from Italy that only 12% of the people died with coronavirus alone.
Yeah.
That was already in April. We found that out.
Yeah.
So now what happens is you lock down, so then the infections come down, then you open everything up, then the infections come back, and then what does the government do? Now, because people haven't been responsible, we need to lock down again. Now, we have an experience in South Africa and on the African continent that shows that these people are talking the biggest load of nonsense.
Yeah.
And I really despise what is being said, and I saw that article on the sacoronavirus.co.za. All right, go and have a look at what the government's saying on that website. So what happened in South Africa? So the initial things were delayed. Then they went down to level 4 and that. But basically by then, I mean, there wasn't much social distancing happening.
Yeah.
And the cases went through the roof. We had a terrible time in June and July. A lot of people died.
Yeah.
Then at the beginning of August, the taxi industry said to the government, because the government had been restricting the taxis, but they promised to give the taxis 50,000 Rand each, okay, which would equate to about $4,000 each to make up for lost revenue. And then the government said no, they can only afford to give 5,000 Rand each, okay, which would be less than $100 per taxi, US dollars that is. And that would already cost 1.1 billion Rand. So the taxi industry said, forget you, government. You take your lockdown and put it somewhere on your nice little cupboard, but we're not following it. We're filling our taxis.
Yeah.
All right? We're not following your rules. And if you arrest one of our taxi drivers, every taxi driver across the country will stop right where they are, and we will bring South Africa to a halt.
They had the
So then what did the government do the night before? They changed the regulations. Okay, and even those regulations are not being followed by the taxis. They were supposed to be kitted out. You know, President Ramaphosa's one son was helping kit out taxis, got a whole lot of money for it, and all of that sort of stuff. And all of these things were going on. Now, our numbers started dropping in August.
Yeah.
The taxis, according to their theory, with social distancing and all of that, the taxis should have accelerated. We should have exploded in August.
Yeah.
And guess what happened instead? We continued to plummet. It was cold then.
It was.
Okay. So the issue at the end of the day is, even though it was cold and the windows were closed, the cases went down, the death rate went down, and it's just continued to plummet ever since.
Yeah.
So last week it stabilized a bit, but the infection rate seems to be dropping a bit again this week.
Yeah.
There were 2 days, in fact, this week where we had exactly 903 new infections. I'm not sure if you're aware of that.
No, I don't. I haven't looked at.
Yeah, Monday and Tuesday.
Yeah.
We had exactly 903 infections. How's that for coincidence?
Sure.
903 Monday, 903 Tuesday. All right? So the whole theory of the lockdown and how it stops this and that and the next thing, for me, has been totally disproven in South Africa.
Yeah.
It's been disproven in Sweden.
Yeah.
Sweden has not had the second wave.
Yes.
They had this mountain peak, so Mount Everest. They then went into these valleys where you've got these hills, goes up and down.
Yeah.
And so Sweden, I think it was this week, they had one day where they had over 500 cases, another day they had over 400, and then the next 2 days they had 0 cases. All right? So, looking at that, they haven't had what happened in Spain, but they never had a lockdown. Spain did. So I think the lockdown just prolongs the pandemic. And on top of that, the other thing that's happened is that there's been a huge difference. If you take the 7-day moving average, and I'm not sure if you know what the 7-day moving average is. Okay, they take the average number of new cases or new deaths per day for the last 7 days. What's the average for the last 7 days?
Yeah.
And then every day you plot that so you get a trend.
Yeah.
Now, the 7-day moving average in Spain of deaths, okay, has been about 500-600 lower than what it was in March, April. So they've got much more cases, but much less deaths.
Yeah.
So second what?
A second wave.
Okay, and then they're saying every positive test is a case. Now, there's two things, and I just want to finish with this.
Yeah.
You know that there's many false positives. That's problem number one.
Yeah.
And problem number two, if you test positive for the flu, are you considered a case?
Shouldn't be.
No. In medical terms, you're a case when you present with symptoms.
Yeah.
In other words, you're sick.
Yeah.
If you're not sick, it's sick to call you a case.
Yeah.
So they're faking the numbers. They
Yeah.
are governments. You are faking the numbers.
Yes. So that's basically it. And
So we still say it's a dangerous disease.
it is.
It's not 5G.
It is. And then if you look at, so in the article as well, they speak about what South Africa is doing to prevent, again in inverted commas,
Nothing's being done. People
To
not even wearing
prevent,
masks anymore. Nothing is being
the
done.
second wave. And they say one of the measures taken by the government has been to create a smartphone application that allows for geolocation of COVID-19 clusters and also inform an individual if they have come into contact with an individual who has tested positive for the COVID-19 virus. The application sends an exposure alert to individuals who have been exposed to the virus and is just one of the offerings available from the South African government and their digital range of services. Now, that is very creepy for me personally. If I'm standing next to someone that has the virus,
And the
according
phone
to,
beeps.
for me, it's how hectic is the tracking system. I don't understand applications or
But
whatever.
they don't keep your data, eh?
No, that's the problem.
But they know if you've been in
They
the
say
proximity
that
of
they
someone.
don't- You should go actually look, if you haven't looked into this app and stuff like that. And we're not saying don't download it. We're not saying download it.
Download
We're
it if you want.
We're just saying go look into the app and actually.
How do you know if Ivan downloaded it?
Exactly. We don't know if.
We don't know if we've downloaded
You
it
know,
either.
our phones could be beeping right now and we're not saying anything. But look into the app and what the specific app actually takes and the type of information it takes and what they say and compare that and see, do you really want to download this app and stuff? But for me personally, that is very scary. That is tracking 101, I would say.
Yeah.
I've watched a lot of movies to know that that is not...
So
right.
if I've downloaded it, I'm being checked.
Yes, basically. That's what's
I'm
happening.
not telling you if I've downloaded it.
And then another thing that they're saying they're doing, another contingency plan, in effect, is the extension of the state of disaster that allows sufficient time for all health facilities and infrastructure to be adequately prepared should a second wave happen. Now, they've been saying preparing the health facilities since March. I mean, that's what
Which
the
were
first
unused.
yeah, which were unused. And we spoke about this earlier this year, that they were just going to extend it until... The 3 weeks was not just 3 weeks. This lockdown was going to go on until we don't know when. So that's what they're saying. And then the continued curfew and closure of social gathering spots such as nightclubs and public events also minimize the spread of infections as far as possible. And something funny is
Because
they're
that virus
blaming...
doesn't travel after midnight.
They're blaming in South Korea, they're actually saying that one of the main reasons that there's a second wave in South Korea is because of large gatherings in venues such as the churches.
Yeah.
And that's what they're saying in South Korea, and they're blaming the churches. And already here in South Africa, you can see that they're trying to keep the churches closed because the regulations just to open up a church, you don't even see those type of regulations in the malls and movie houses and stuff where there's more people that would go there and more contact and stuff. So that's what the second wave is about in South Africa. Now, in the next segment, we're going to be discussing people's answers or to the poll that we have, and there's another article that came out on the 27th that speaks about how lockdown could work if there's a second wave of COVID-19 infections in South Africa. Meaning that we are not far from over with this lockdown in South Africa, if that's what we are looking at in the articles. I'm your girl Cynthia, but you know you can call me Gix, and here's a song by Reactive called Passion.
is my value and identity you've renewed. Your tender mercies mean more than life itself. To love you more, my heart's compelled. With passion I pursue and cling to you. You're my all, you're my all, you're my feeling your grip on my life, the anointing of your presence satisfies me like nothing else. With passion I pursue and cling to you, worshiping you no matter what I go through. A rich banquet for my soul, keeping you close to my heart. You're my all, you're my all, you're my all. Energized when I enter your heavenly sanctuary. More of your power, more of your glory. Waving my arms to you in surrender, just before your rescue. Such yearning trips my soul, spending time with you makes me whole. With passion I pursue and cling to you, worshiping you no matter what I go through. With passion I pursue and cling to you, worshiping you no matter what I go through. A rich banquet for my soul, keeping you close to my heart. You're my all, you're my all, you're my
You can stream Reactive's very own The Movement album on Spotify and Apple iTunes. Reactive is a movement.
How awesome was that track? I'm telling you, Reactive is really reactive. Does that make sense? Reactive is really reactive. What are your thoughts on that song, Dark Knight? Did I just say Dark Knight?
Yeah,
Black
no,
Band.
that song was very, very awesome.
Yes,
like
I was-
Reactive is like my favorite band.
Favorite
Yeah,
band.
like I'm not a band type of a person, but I think Reactive was maybe my fifth band that I listened to, and they've topped it to number one.
Okay, so we had a poll asking people what they would do basically if we had to go into level 5 lockdown as well. And we had quite a few people respond to this. And then we're going to discuss 3 of their answers. So the first one is, I would be concerned for the economy. We cannot afford that as a country. So that's the first response to that. And then the second response is the economy wouldn't be able to take it. So a lot of people are actually speaking about the economy and saying that, hey, we're not ready. In South Africa with this economy, I mean, second quarter of the year, we went down, the GDP went down by 51%. And then this third one, which is quite funny, she said, cry for a bit, then take as much precautionary measure to ensure my health is not compromised. So what are your thoughts on those responses?
I think they're right. Obviously, my concern since the first lockdown, it was about the economy, because it's not like the economy was doing great at that time. Now we're still going to a lockdown. There's countries like America that were doing great at that point, and a lockdown did prove that it kills the economy. And obviously, we know it's in fact here in South Africa. I was just telling a couple of guys that I meet with during the week. I'm like, it's funny, in South Africa, we know, we ourselves know of people who are fighting a day-to-day plate.
Yeah.
Just imagine a day-to-day plate. Now you're going to lock people down for 3 weeks.
Yeah.
They're fighting to eat each and every day, and you're going to lock them down
Yeah.
in their houses for 3 weeks. And I'm talking, that's probably 50 or 49% of my community.
Yeah.
And come on. In fact, with the ones that are left, your 61% that's left, they are gonna probably lose their jobs.
Yeah.
Because I know of people with the guys because we do a lot of community work with people that we speak to. They've lost jobs. Some of them are getting jobs back. They're getting their jobs back only now. So they've lost jobs. Some people their pay was cut. So already that's not just affecting the 49 that I'm speaking about. It's probably going to affect 90% of the whole community, and not probably that's what happened. And it didn't stop the crime that we were still facing as a country. We were also facing an issue of crime which was not spoken about, which is still not spoken about, and a lot of people are actually losing stuff in their homes. People are dying from the crime that we're facing, and I don't hear such being spoken about. So yeah.
I totally agree with everything that he said. I mean, going into a lockdown already, these 100 and something days.
That comment's the only reason we kept him on the show.
Yes. So he's coming out of the wimpy stage that he was in. Just these 100 whatever days, you stopped counting at some point.
It's like 100 and whatever million days.
We've been in lockdown. We've already seen the impact. I mean, we spoke about it earlier on, where the lockdown, yes, you're protecting people in inverted commas and stuff.
No, you're not.
According to them, according to the government, you're protecting according to the
Sorry,
government. But
you said it like it's you. So I have to argue. No, you're not protecting anyone.
no, you're not.
How do you protect people from the flu?
You're not protecting anyone. Yes, the richer communities can stay in lockdown for a specific amount of time, but majority of this country is
but
made
even them,
up
it's for a
with-
specific time.
Yes, it's for a specific time, but
And do the government follow this thing?
Ah,
They haven't.
no, they haven't.
A few of them got caught,
Yeah.
but they didn't follow it.
They didn't. And then if you look at majority of the communities in South Africa, they cannot afford. Already, like the Black Knight said, people are suffering already.
The show's going darker.
The lockdown has hectically impacted a lot of people's finance and income and all of these things. They're having to go into another state of lockdown, like we almost came out of, if I could put it that way, is going to take South Africa to shambles, basically.
Yeah, our biggest threat is not COVID-19.
No.
Our biggest threat is the economy. And we
Yes.
spoke about it, what was it, last week, the week before? I mean, the railway lines are being stolen.
Yes.
They cancelled security contracts and things like that. I mean, come on, can you stop putting all this effort into the website and actually protect our train lines?
Yes.
All right, I'd rather take my chances with the illness.
Yes.
Okay, if I get sick, I'll go take hydroxychloroquine. I'll go take some of the other
Vitamins.
nebulizer inhibitor,
Yes.
take vitamins, vitamin zinc. And I mean, these guys were lying to us. They said vitamin C, vitamin B+, vitamin D3, all of these things wouldn't help. You had to have the antibodies. Now Anthony Fauci says, no, he takes vitamin C, vitamin B+,
I mean,
vitamin D3.
this was the first winter where I didn't have the flu.
Yeah, but we were taking zinc.
We were taking
pumping the vitamin C.
from March, from the
And maybe we must do it every year.
right. I mean, I did not once have flu. I didn't.
No, I did get flu.
I think I had migraines, but that's not because of the winter. But I didn't have flu. Oh, I think there was the one day where I was really sick, and then we
Yeah, so
had,
don't lie to us, eh?
we
And it
had
may have been COVID.
colloidal silver. We had colloidal silver, and by the end of that weekend, I was perfectly fine and stuff. So, yeah, we'd rather take the chance as South Africans, as people that live in South Africa, who live in the neighborhoods of South Africa, not, pretend like we know what's going on in the neighborhoods. We know these neighborhoods. We'd rather take chances with the virus. Anyway, so now the next poll was, would you take the vaccine? And from this poll, 80% said no. Yeah, you heard me right. No. 80% of the people that answered this poll said no. And then 20% said yes. And the reason for the yes was so that I'm not at risk of getting the virus. I'm skeptical about it because of long-term side effects, but not being sure how my body will react to the virus would make me gravitate towards taking the vaccine. And then, first, I don't think the corona is as hectic as they're making it seem. Second, I feel that there isn't really corona. Third, I don't trust it. I feel like they want to control the world, so I don't trust what they put inside there. And then the last one I'm going to read out, she wouldn't take it because she doesn't trust it at all.
I wouldn't take it myself either. I wouldn't do that. First things first, I'm into tech, so I know how you have your tech medicine, so they're actually creating that. So you never know if this is one of it, So I'm cool with that, and you never know if they're giving you the virus. You know what I mean? You don't know what the vaccine itself carries, because from what I've heard from vaccines, people have taken vaccines and actually become more sick than they were at first, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. So I wouldn't also take it or trust it.
Yeah, so I also personally wouldn't take the vaccine just because of the research that I've done and what I've seen in terms of what they're saying out there. For me personally, I'm fine without the vaccine. We've heard stories of people who've taken vaccine, not for the virus, but for other stuff, and they've gotten sick because of the vaccine. So personally, I wouldn't take the vaccine. There are those that believe that they're protecting their family because of taking the vaccine, they'll protect their family. So what are your thoughts towards those people who believe they are protecting themselves and protecting their families if they take the vaccine?
Well, that's what they think.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, I've said it before on the show. I've gotten sick because of the flu vaccine. So even doctors have argued with me. And my personal experience doesn't go with what the doctors are saying. So, no.
Yeah.
I'm anti-vax. Obviously, there's some vaccines that work.
Yeah.
It's not all vaccines. I'm not anti all vaccines. But anything flu-related, And if Bill Gates is involved,
yeah, no, that's a definite definite Okay, so now a quick look at how the lockdown would work. I'm just going to mention one thing quickly. And they speak about the fact that, so if there was a second wave in South Africa, under this model that they're going to bring in with the second lockdown, is the country is split into 52 different districts, with each being assessed on its infection level. At the time, districts that were seeing higher than 5 new infections, so this happened during this lockdown, new infections per 100,000 population were considered as COVID-19 hotspots. Now, they're going to bring that back, but this time they will face tighter restrictions. So in the second wave and in the second period of lockdown, we will have tighter restrictions than we had before. I mean, if you thought that this was tight, now this is going to be more hectic. The restrictions that they're going to put in place. And for me, what I'm worried most about is the churches and the fact that they're telling churches to get used to the new normal and stuff. So that's what's going to happen when we go into this second period of lockdown here in South Africa. Yeah. Do you have anything to say about that?
I'm praying that the people won't accept it.
Yeah. Me too. All right. This was The Political Show on Active FM, where radio has never been better and Christ politics is
Hot politics.
hot politics.
Zombie apocalypse.
Hi, this is Alice, Active Star 2012. You're listening to Active FM. Yeah, man.
So we were speaking about the second wave, the vaccines, and we went through a poll and what people's responses and our thoughts on the polls are. So now let's get straight into the word.
Yeah, as I look at this whole COVID-19 situation, nothing has surprised us. Obviously, we spoke on the show in March around this thing going on for years and that we're never going to get out of the lockdowns. And this was even before South Africa went into lockdown on the 26th of March. We were both essential workers, at the time.
Yeah.
And people have been deceived. They really have been deceived. And a lot of people are dying of things like TB and cancer, and all sorts of other illnesses. Someone else I know got sick and went to a hospital which has got hundreds, maybe even over 1,000 beds. You know that this was about a month ago or 3 weeks ago. You know that there were 6 people in total in this hospital. 6.
Sure.
Like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Sure.
And they were the 6th one. You know what I'm saying? So, looking at all of this deception, it's imperative that Matthew 28, verse 18 to 20, where Jesus says, to the church, all authority in heaven and earth has been given to me. So in other words, all authority has been given to Jesus. Even the government's authority belongs to Jesus.
Yeah.
Therefore, because of that authority, go and make disciples of all nations, baptize in the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit, teaching them to obey everything that I've commanded you. And now I'm with you always to the very end of the age. And I do not know, but we have to find a way to preach.
Yeah.
If they're going to lock us down again, so be it. But we have to find a way to preach. And in the days of the books of Acts, the guys would preach even if their lives were at risk.
Yeah.
And I really feel that's the place where the church has to get to, because people are just going to be, deceived over and over unless they come to the Lord Jesus Christ, they have faith in Him, and they get saved. Amen? Because He is the way, the truth, and the life. Amen.
Yes, amen. And that is 100% truth. So we've been speaking about the vaccine. So let us know your thoughts on our social media platforms. We're on Instagram at ActiveFM777. We're on Facebook /ActiveFM. And we're on Twitter at ActiveFM. And we're also on Parler at ActiveFM. And you can download our shows on www.activefm.co.za. You can also download our shows on Google Podcasts and on Apple Podcasts. And you can also download it on Spotify. So get downloading, get commenting, let us know what your thoughts are, and share the shows out there. I'm your girl Cynthia, but you can call me Gix. And with me in studio, we've got
Gavin Enslin.
Pastor Gavin Enslin, and we also have
The Black Knight.
the Black Knight. So he's come out of his wimpy stage, so now he can be the Black Knight. And here's a song by Cam Clark called See It Through. This is The Political Show on Active FM, where radio has never been better and Christ politics is
Very hot politics.
very hot politics.
I can't see it through. You make mountains move. Waterfalls cry too. I can't see it through. You carry the truth. Overhaul the news. They will know it's you. And I can see it through. You make mountains move. Waterfalls cry too. And I can't see it through. No, I can't
2020, they should keep change. Keep the energy, this will only delay. These days, fast forward over replay. They was hoping that the kids would have freeze frame. Recharge, re-implement, just repay. Bigger debts than our lives had the feet waves. Appreciated freestyles on the freeway. But when the lyrics come short, let the beat play, yeah. Music don't heal, music don't heal. High five to the culture, that's real. 6 years in the game and a whole lot of pain. But the pain ain't the same if I can't feel. Can you fight tears? Can you fight fears? Will you give up if you fight years? If it's all for the music, I'm just babbling for nothing. If you actually about to drop it all and let's do something. I can't see it through. You make mountains move. Waterfalls cry too. I can't see it through. I can't see it through. You make mountains move. Waterfalls cry too.
Active FM. Radio has never been better.